then everyone, we are up at Hartside Pass, which is actually one of the UK's best driving roads, and I'm here with my mate Defty, and we are in his Cayman. I've never really mentioned it that much on the channel in the past, but for me, my sort of two car brands that really got me passionate about cars is BMW and Porsche, and I've never really mentioned a great deal about Porsche just because there's never really been an opportunity to do so. But I think you're in a similar boat, aren't you? You've had a few BMs over the years as well.
Yeah, I've had a few BMs, usually like the numb stuff for like the projects that never really got taken a hold of.
Yeah.
Had the E21, which I had all the good intentions for, but then the engine went on this. Yeah, I mean, Porsche was always what I had on my bedroom wall as a band. So
same. So I think this thing, I would say, is kind of possibly what Porsche might have done if they'd done a sort of GT RS product of a 987. Maybe a little bit more sort of...
Yeah, a little bit more reserved. I mean, it's got all the nice bits on that you would want. With like houses and kids and stuff, I haven't been able to go as far as probably what I would have wanted, but it's somewhere near now. It's
a very capable thing.
Yeah.
That's I mean, it's sort of something sort of, in terms of pace, I'd say it's comparable with a modified E46 M3 in terms of
that tends to be sort of what it clings on the back to, or what it usually ends up playing with on a track day is a E46 M3.
So I suppose we could just start sort of front to back what you've done with it, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably forget more than what I've done.
Yeah. I can give you some cues and memory stuff.
Yeah. So I think one of the first things that I did to the car was the front splitter. I honestly think that the cars are hideous at the front end without having that that lower part of the bumper. So that was one of the first things. I've had about 3 or 4 since then. Then it was more the preventative stuff, so all your boring stuff like the modified sumps, the third radiators, the CSF rads, and then low temp thermostats, just your boring maintenance stuff to make sure that you can go out on track. It's had a couple of sets of wheels. It's stuck with the ATS GTRs because of the perfect size.
They look great really on this car as well, though.
I can max out a tyre on them without being, having to do stuff to arches.
So in terms of, obviously the ATS GTRs are a very iconic motorsport wheel and they suit the car. The Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s.
Yeah, I've went for Cup 2s. I've reined it back a bit. It's usually had 888Rs on. I wanted to use the car a bit more on the road, so I've dialed it back to Cup 2s. I thought, especially coming into the back end of the year and it's a bit colder, it's a bit damper, it's not going to be less capable on track, but I can still enjoy it if I want to have a blast out with Parkside like I have now. It does an all-round job.
And I think that's something a lot of people forget, because they build a car with intention for track and they take away its road capability. Yeah. You can sort of ruin a car in some ways, can't you? You can go a bit too far.
If you there's a line that you cross, and then that's when it is a track car as opposed to a track focused car. And I think that I've quite got the balance between the two of them, so that if I do want to drive it, I can drive it. I don't necessarily have to wait until a track day is being booked.
Yeah, well, I've felt the same coming down here in it today. It's stiff, and you can tell it's built to go fast, but it's not too far. It's not like over the line. It's still got a full interior, sans radio. It's got the GT3 delete in it. But it's not uncomfortable, and it's definitely manageable as a nice road car as well.
It's the car that I drive to the Nürburgring, if we go to the Nürburgring, and that's shy of 10 hours. Don't get us wrong, you don't feel great at the end of it, but it's not going to cripple you.
Yeah.
And that's what I quite like about it, being able to do that kind of drive, do a lap and come off, and it does both jobs.
Yeah. So moving on from that, I guess brakes is the next obvious thing.
Yeah, the brakes, I've ended up with a 997 GT3 setup, so they're 350mm 2-piece bells and rotors. The 6-pot calipers up front and 4-pot at the back. They've got RS29s in them, RBF 600 or 660, whatever's lying about. GT3 master cylinder in it now, which has made a massive difference to it. Anyone who's got a Cayman needs to put in a GT3 master cylinder. It makes a hellish difference. And yeah, it stops pretty well. Yeah,
well, coming down here, I sharp realised it's definitely got a lot of braking power. I guess this would probably be a little bit lighter than a 997 GT3.
Yeah, I think from memory these were about 1350 stock.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure with the added weight of the heavier brakes or having the seats taken out, and it's probably going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah. Wheels are lighter, seats are lighter, added a bit more in here and there. So, should we get into the engine stuff? You've got a bit of a story behind that one. So.
Yeah, so engine wise, about 3 years ago, finished a day at Cadwell. Car drove fine all day, and driving the next day driving into work to go and get a parcel, it just started knocking, and it was a knock that didn't disappear. Ended up dropping that into D&G with a Porsche specialist through Newcastle, and just asked them to take everything apart and see what had went on. It ended up that the crank had bent, which ruptured the main bearing, which let it go, which was the knocking. Had scoring on 5 and 6. It just wasn't in a great way. So when the engine got shipped to Hartech, they give us a few options, and I just got the full lot done. It was a car that I knew that if I was spending that kind of money on, it wasn't going to go anywhere. I wasn't going to sell it. So I might as well have it future-proof for another 100,000 mile and be able to kick its head in again.
Makes sense, absolutely. So for anyone who sort of doesn't know, Hartech's like the go-to.
Yeah, Hartech are the engine building people that you want on the job. They came recommended from a lot of people. They obviously look after their own race car that they've got. So yeah, I think that was the only option that I really had.
Yeah, and it's I mean it's certainly no cheap feat, like, but
no, it's not cheap.
Yeah, it would add a bit of value to the car, and I think if you're looking to buy one, it's definitely worth looking at one that's had a Hartech rebuild. These are known for scoring bars anyway, aren't they? So
scoring, there's the oil starvation issues that are in there, which people don't tend to look after. The servicing intervals, people will leave them 2 years, 20,000 mile before doing them, which is just not great.
Yeah.
I mean, this gets flushed probably every 3,000 mile, every 3-4 track days maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since then, touch wood, it's been spot on.
Good. So, mated to that, we discussed it a little bit on the way down, your exhaust. At the moment,
at the moment the exhaust is standard headers, so it still has 2 cats. That's made it up to an AWE exhaust, which just gives it a bit more noise, a bit less restriction. That took 2 of the cats out from the standard system. I've got a set of Super Sprint headers which are on order, which we're just waiting for, to get rid of the patched up current manifold, but it seems to be doing its job for now.
I think, I mean, this thing's fairly obvious, the wing, but there's a bit of a story behind possibly what inspired you to get it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the side profile of the car without the wing was tremendous, but having a little bit more downforce at the back end would be nice, especially through Whitman. It was just on the list of things that I'd planned to do with the car. I'm somewhere near the end of where I would I would want to take it. So yeah, hopefully the wing will help next time I leave the country and get through to the ring.
So the do you want to elaborate on that one?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, before the borders got shut down, just going out for one last dad lap with Chris, me mechanic, before we were drinking some beers, and it was just a canny one, and it didn't end up being a canny one. You know, foot down as much as I could, and got to the end of Whippleman and left it in fourth, trying to chase one of the mates who was there, who I'd caught up with, and the back end overtook the front, and I got away really lightly with it. So yeah, got a canny build from the ring. Smashed up a few metres of Armco. Managed to catch it on the way back round, so there wasn't anything further. It was at the front, didn't damage any rads. There was no coolant drop or anything like that. It was just a case of replacing the crash bar, the bumper, and the surrounding plastics and stuff. But lucky enough to be able to cable tie everything up and then jump back on the train and drive it home.
I think it was one of them where it's unlucky but lucky at the same time.
If that's the one that I'm going to have, then I'm quite happy that it was that one, because you know, being able to drive home makes a massive difference. And it didn't put a spoiler on the trip. It's something that happened, and
you deal with it and move on.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't take the car there if I was concerned about that kind of issue. It's nice that it's not written off,
of course. Yeah.
But you know, little shunts and bumps and stuff. It's what the car's been put together for.
Mm-hmm. So inside, we already mentioned, obviously you've done the GT3 RS radio delete.
So inside,
we've got two Recaros.
Got the two Recaros in there, which were from my Mark II, which also fell from grace. We've got the personal steering wheel in there, yellow stitching to match the calipers. We've got the GT3 delete in there. The trim inside the car's been wrapped black, just to sort of make everything match up a little bit. I wasn't really a big fan of the standard interior finish.
What is it? Is it aluminium or something in there?
It's just like a grey gloss paint.
Right.
So even like the centre console is all finished in like a similar colour. So that's been taken out, taken apart, painted, put back together, which was just something to keep us busy during things like lockdown.
Yeah, makes sense. Yep. The shifter, have you done anything with that, or is that it looks very direct? I seem to
so the shifter's a 15 quid part from eBay. The standard shifter, like the plastic bushings and stuff like that, were just all over the shop, whereas this one uses it's exactly the same, but it's billets. It doesn't wear away. It's just a bit more direct. I wouldn't have said it shortened the throw or anything like that, because they've got a fairly short throw on them anyway.
The Porsche, they're known for good shifters anyway.
Quick and in, yeah.
And the ones I've driven, they've always been really nice. I mean, obviously GT product ones are going to be nice anyway, but obviously, you know, things like bushes and stuff wear, and you've got to change them, and you can either refresh with new or something that's probably going to last a bit.
Yeah.
So
it was always a part measure, because I mean, again, on the list of stuff that I want to get a hold of to finish the car off, would be a CE shifter for the centre of it. I don't think it will go a little bit OTT when we were talking before about not being able to drive on the road. Yeah. I think it'll still be fine for the road. It'll just be a little bit more direct.
I've driven road cars with CE shifters, and I don't think, in some cases, you know, you have to cut trim and stuff, and it can look a bit messy, but if you do a nice job of it, I think
there's a direct fitment for there. There's a bit of trim that goes over the top, and you know, there's no fettling with interior trim, which is good, which is quite nice.
Suspension is B16s, yeah?
B16s. They've been on the car now for about 4 years.
Right, that's proven good.
Yeah, they do a great job. I've sort of been a bit guilty of fitting and forgetting. I've set them up to obviously the car's been corner weighted, the dampers and stuff have been set up to a point where I like it. It does a job all round, and
it looks good too. So.
I just the fit's pretty good. It's at quite a nice level. Not so much for splitter damage, but for the rest of it, it's spot on.
I mean, the bill stains after about 5 minutes look like they've been in the sea anyway, don't they? So it's
a good job it's where it needs to be, because they're not getting adjusted.
I think the only thing we missed really was the GT3 cut in the front bumper, which is
so I'm quite guilty of not sorted this out properly. So the Caymans come with 2 rads as standard, the 2 on the outer. There's a retrofit kit for the GT3 centre rad.
Yep.
What that does is that pulls the air in that way, and it comes out and over the top of the car, so it has an aerodynamic property to it as well. I haven't plumbed that in properly as of yet.
Right.
It is, again, it's on my whiteboard in the garage of things that I need to do. But the handy thing is there's a write up for the parts that you need and everything to fit it and make it
and a template
functional.
to cut it out. And
it changes the fitment of the rad. So as opposed to it being laid back, which it is slightly now, it comes forward to then pull it and push it over.
Through, so makes sense.
It'd be pretty cool when that's done properly eventually. But for now, that does a job.
I think even from a visual aspect, it does something as well, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think with things like the splitter and the other bits and pieces, it might have just felt a bit smooth. A bit.
I think with the like when you get into the 911s, like the GTS is like centre lock wheels and stuff, and I think like it just looks like it's missing something on the front almost.
Fits with a theme.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we'll get some flyby videos and stuff.
Yeah, why not?
If you're game for that.